We first agreed to help out at MCS as a couple in 2006, I think it was. And we agreed to just be there for one semester. And yet 10 years later we were still there because more and more people left the country and we were sucked into more and more responsibility, doing more roles in the school, like everyone else. But we stayed on really at MCS, not just to help run the school, but really for selfish motives, because we had 4 children of our own to get through the school. And we really thank the Lord that they were all able to graduate MCS. If I was to think of something that epitomizes the school, then I would say everyone, students and staff, they were always willing to have a go, to turn the hand to things that they weren't necessarily gifted at doing. And many staff and students as well were willing to go the extra mile, and often out of their comfort zones, doing jobs and things that they never thought they would have to do in life. But that stretched us, and I believe it helped us all to grow together as a community and as believers too. Students too had the same attitude. If students weren't willing to join in and have a go, then there would have been no football teams to represent the school. There would have been no school plays, because people from 4th grade up to 12th were all willing to get stuck in. And students then who probably in a normal school back in their home country would never have been in a school drama were stretched and developed gifts that they wouldn't have otherwise. And students got to go and represent the school internationally in basketball, football and volleyball, and doing things like music recitals, talent shows, bush dances, ceilidhs, all generally people willing to take part and have a go. That's what kept the school going, really. I remember being at ISOI and MCS students and staff were cheering the runners on in track and field. And somebody asked me, why are MCS so enthusiastic? Why do they cheer so much? They even cheer the opposition. And I could have said, well, they don't get out much, which was true. But I think in reality, it was the attitude that we were more of a family than a school. And I'm reminded of Psalm 20 verse 5. It says, "We will shout for joy when you are victorious and lift up our banners in the name of our God." And MCS was a school of shouting for joy. It was not always easy living on such a small compound and often in a sort of lockdown situation together. But we made the best of it and we tried to use what we had. And that gave us opportunities to do things that we would never have done elsewhere. Like myself driving a school bus, I think it was a 25-seater, up and down to Islamabad. One of my favorites was rescuing people in the snow with my Jeep, staff and students, and that was good fun. Building igloos, where would I ever get a chance to do that? Creating a 5-a-side football pitch from a steep hill by bringing tons and tons of soil. We were just able to do things at MCS that we couldn't have done in other places. Who else has helped create and design and construct a secret escape tunnel? You know, that was pretty cool. I loved working with Mr. Albert on the maintenance team, and I wish I had that team here with me now in this country. And I also really loved working with Mr. Simon on admin, and we spent a lot of time looking at ways of practically improving the school. He was so patient with me and with other staff members. what other foreigner would have got to teach Urdu and German of all languages that I don't know? You know, teaching Urdu to Korean students. How crazy is that? And practicing my preaching. MCS was the best audience that I could have had. A few fun memories I have. One of pranking senior high boys with the maintenance team, taking away all their toilet doors. And a nice memory I have is for 2 weeks, Stephanie went away. That wasn't the nice memory, but she went away and left me in charge for the kitchens. And I got to ask every student and staff member what they wanted to eat for breaks, for dinner, for evening meal. And then I was able to give them their favourite food. The problem was when Stephanie came back, the budget had virtually gone. So then we were stuck with dal and carrot sticks. Thank you.
Memories of MCS. Where do I start? This place was and is such a huge part of the life of our family. I first went to MCS as a single woman in the summer I was in language school in 1983. I attended dramas and social events. I remember wondering if one day I'd have children to attend this strange, exciting American school. It seemed so much better than boring old education back in Belfast. And so, by God's grace, the 4 Lannon children got to go to this strange place. It not only educated them until they were 18, but also equipped them to go to university in Belfast. It gave them lifelong friendships and a sense of belonging that will always be with them. MCS helped raise my children, and I am thankful to every teacher and house parent who had an influence on their lives. Then in 2005, I was asked to help out and become senior high boarding parent for 6 months. So began the next 11 years of my life. God drew me in little by little. Harry continued working in Islamabad for a while, and so he was a part-time house parent. He got the fun and I got the hard yards. In time, I took on many different roles as the need arose: boarding administrator, hostel in charge, religious studies teacher, occasional school nurse. I will always be grateful to the cooks and the hostel workers for keeping me on track and doing things that needed to be done even when I had forgotten them. We were a good team. My favourite job was, of course, being a house parent. I love sport and have many happy memories of watching the English Premiership football matches at the weekends. I also pride myself in educating many students from many different countries about the wonderful game of rugby. The elementary and I had an Ulster Rugby Supporters Club. It was such a joy to be involved with Catherine Wood in all the track and field training and the events down in Islamabad. I absolutely shouted the loudest. You can ask anybody. I often felt like I was getting to relive my school days in some sort of Enid Blyton boarding school. Then there was the snow. Winter was the best season. The living in anticipation of the first fall and then waiting for that really, really big fall. Playing rugby in thigh-deep snow on the field opposite. Making snow tang slushies and loads of snowball fights. I had a Let It Snow sign which was put up at the first hint of snow and stayed up until the end of April. I used to check the forecast and then build the menu around it. For example, snowy white mashed potatoes and snowman biscuits. I think the elementary thought I had a direct line to God about the snow. I organised so many campouts that I got quite good in the end and didn't forget so many things. Although they were hard work, many staff and students were outside their comfort zone, they were usually great fun. Cajoling everyone up Mukshpuri or along the pipeline. And yes, we are having fun. I love Devo's nights, which we called crack and snack. Crack is Ulster Scots for banter. To you, you could call it chat or maybe chilling, but obviously crack is a much better word. I was helped by so many great gap years who poured their lives into the students, and they were great role models. A highlight for me was the year I did high school girls, and we took it in turn to invite all the lady staff. We got to hear their testimonies and we asked them all sorts of questions, and then we ended by asking, "Tell us about your perfect day." It was such a great time and we learnt so much about each other. The school gave me wonderful friendships which now stretch across the world. Of course, for students and staff alike, there were quarrels, tensions and fallouts. I even saw the odd fight amongst the students. It may have happened amongst the staff, but I didn't see it. But I also saw forgiveness and reconciliation and reconnection. We were never a perfect school, and looking back, I know there are things I could have done better personally. But I saw a lot of people doing their best to make the most of our circumstances. MCS, the staff and students helped me grow in my relationship with God. We strove to be real in our faith. We strove to help each other love God more fully. He was always faithful through the tough times and the happy times, through the joys and the disappointments. I will always be thankful to him that my children called MCS home and that Harry and I were allowed to be part of it.
MCS. Whenever I hear these three letters, different memories and feelings pass by, but every time there is a strange feeling of comfort I can't explain. For the past 6 years, from 2014 to 2020, MCS has been more than just a school to me. It was my home. It has many unforgettable memories of most of my teetering but fun teenage years. One of the many memorable moments in my school life was my first carnival. I remember the loud music and the unrecognizable gym, with the strange rope hanging across the middle of the gym from the second floor. Since then, I've always enjoyed every single carnival, especially secretly putting my friends in love cuffs. MCS also opened my eyes to white games during campouts. I always wanted to be the last one hiding during manhunt, like my first housemate, mentioning no names, who broke a water pipe while running away. I'll never forget the Christmas parties too. Every year, it was always a problem for me to decide what to dress up as for the parties, which led me to dressing up as an elf with almost exactly the same costume every year. Siesta was also definitely one of the highlights of every term. The boys always had a pillow fight during the first night, with the blankets nicely packed in plastic bags, which always ended up a mess with bits of plastic flying everywhere. However, it is not only the big and special events I miss, but also the small things in my everyday school life. I remember the scent of cleaning liquid that welcomed me every time after the breaks. I never imagined that I would miss that strange smell that meant school, but once I realized I could never go back, even these things I did not like became memories and things I miss. It may sound ridiculous, but I also miss the vegetable curry, mixed vegetable, and seasonal vegetable, which were basically the same thing. I still remember walking up for lunch with my classmates and getting disappointed at the yellow mix of smushy vegetables, which sometimes I did enjoy, but only when there were enough potatoes left. The ringing of the dining hall bell, followed by a cacophonous birthday song in perfect harmony with lovely tapping on the tables. And the blaring lockdown alarm next to the old elementary building that rang every Monday at 10 a.m. That always managed to wake me up for the next class after the break, are also a part of the minor things in everyday life that I will always miss. Lastly, from the dormitory, I will never forget the fun of pranking each other. During my second year, before going to our second junior campout, we locked our rooms after the seniors pranked us during the first campout. Thinking we were successful, we opened our doors after the campout. It was a mess. Our ceilings were broken down with all the drawers missing. It turned out that a director, mentioning no names, helped the seniors to break into the room through the gap between the roof and the ceiling, helping me learn an important lifelong lesson. Never ever underestimate the willingness of anyone, even the director, when it comes to pranking. This is a glimmer of my unforgettable and unchangeable memories of my school life. I can list all these things forever, but I simply do not have enough papers to do so. So I will end here with a final short statement. I will always remember and miss the school nestled in the Himalayan mountain range, and it is and always will be a part of who I am even after it closes down.
Well, don't we have a history? We have a rich history. Much has been said, and I think we have covered most areas of our school's history. I won't be long. I will just take a couple of minutes and just highlight a few things. MCS has been the backbone for the mission community in Pakistan. It was just an ordinary school? No, it was more than a school. It was a hub for the mission community in Pakistan. I spent 42 years at Murree Christian School, and I have seen the community and the missions and the church gather around this place. The missions and the missionaries draw up their calendars according to Murree Christian School calendar. Even the yearly telephone and address directory for the mission workers in Pakistan was compiled and printed here in Murree. The summer fellowship headquarters was Murree Christian School. Murree Language School lined up their schedules according to Murree Christian School's schedule. The annual barter sale was not an ordinary event. It was an event of great fun and joy and fellowship. It was not only exchanging things, it was also exchanging ministries, exchanging love. It was wonderful. So Murree Christian School has served in many different ways. Some of the other activities Murree Christian School has been involved in, I would just like to highlight. Locally, we have participated in the Green Day. The Green Day was a campaign where trees were being planted around Murree area, and the school participated in it and went around planting trees in the forests and roadsides. The Highways and Byways dinner was mentioned earlier. It was such a fun to go in the coasters, pick up people from the streets, put them in the coasters, and bring them here to give them a meal. Christmas gifts distribution was a highlight, and people around Jika Gully and around this area knew that Christmas is coming, so gifts are on its way. In the floods, We had a fun run. And do you know how much we raised? $44,000 were raised for the victims of this flood. And we managed to travel all the way to Peshawar and distributed goods on the roadside of Nowshera, Mardan, Peshawar. We crossed rivers and distributed stuff. We all went all the way to Baga border, and I don't know how we got there because it was a very secure area. We were so close to the Indian border that we could see their guards, and we had students with us, and we had so much fun. We had partnership with the ZBS, and we took truckloads of stuff, and some nice pictures I still remember were our students holding goats by their ears and handing them over to the people affected from the floods. I mean, in the disasters, we always had our students enthusiastically participating for fundraising. As it was mentioned by one of our national staff, they reached out to the locals, and wherever there was disaster, a landslide, houses fell, they reached there and worked with their own hands. There was outreach in the slums of Islamabad. Our students went and distributed food stuff, chocolate bars, and it was so much fun. MCS has been supporting other ministries in Pakistan through the offerings we get on Sundays. We have offerings, every year we distributed them to other ministries who are working in our area. MC has been supporting the local church through different ways. And we have had a lot of joint ventures with other schools around. Recently, it has been going down because the numbers have been going down, but we've had a lot of joint ventures with other schools. 65 years you have heard over and over, and I know quality education has been provided, and spiritual support for the students have also been provided. And the recent results show that even this year, most of our students are A-star students. So it has been a very successful time of providing education. We have so many doctors over here, some medical doctors, some PhD doctors, some other doctors, and they are the fruit of this school, and we are proud of that. It was mentioned 14 directors have taken the leadership over here, and I, being the 14th one, have the privilege to close the school down. It's mixed feelings. And, you know, looking at all those directors, I have worked with 12 of those directors. So that's the reason my moods go different, from Irish to American to British to, and my pronunciation is all mixed up, and my work ethics is all muddled up, so I don't know. So I have had good teachers all along, and I have learned a lot from them. Do you know how many graduates we have produced from Murree Christian School? Anybody? Any guess? Counting these three who graduated yesterday, it's exactly 500 graduates. From 1964 to 2021, exactly 500. I was hoping I could count the students, but it was beyond me, and I couldn't really I didn't have time to do that. We've had 18 missions at one time, 18 missions affiliated with Murree Christian School, and we've had others waiting to be affiliated. So we've been very rich. We've had 357 national staff work through MCS, and some from 3 generations have been working. Patrick, his mom and dad worked over here. Mr. Khan Zaman was mentioned. His grandson is here, who worked here for Nadeem Khan Zaman, who worked here for some time. So 357 people. These are the ones who were on roll. There were other daily wagers whom I don't have record of. We've had big snows and huge storms over here. The biggest snowfall was in 2005. 12 feet of snow fell when we were just about to open the school, and we had to delay it at that time. The highest number of students at MCS has been 200. And that's when we were looking for other places to build and renovate and rent for our students. So these are some of our facts which we all have in our heart. The Constitution, which was written in the 50s, it says it had aims and objectives. At that time, I think they didn't used to write the mission statement and the vision statement and all of that. So they had a list of aims and objectives. So one of that was to maintain a school in a high quality of Christian education may be offered in a Christian atmosphere to children of missionaries and such other as the society may from time to time determine. So that was our mission statement, and I think we kept to that over the last 65 years. Today our mission statement is up there. A few years back, things were changing, so we thought we should have a mission statement and a vision statement and all of that kind of stuff. So we came up with this statement, to prepare followers of Jesus Christ, fully equipped to serve God wherever He leads. So I think it's basically saying the same thing, but in modern language. Our slogan has been taken from SAISA, because we heard our students say this as they went out to play, as they gathered before the tournament or before the game started. They all said, "Our all for Him." Our all for Him. And that's what we took as our slogan. So the board and the administration's careful and prayerful decision to close MCS last year was a question mark for many at that time and still is. But each passing day and the circumstances have shown that this is according to God's plan. MCS over past 65 years has stayed focused on the vision set before it and has completed its given task. We've continued this year with 8 students, and we know that there were 8 students who started MCS. And there were 3 students who graduated the first year, and we had 3 students graduate last night. So it's a coincidence, but a very interesting one. One question keeps coming to us and will keep coming to us is what is happening after this. So we trust and believe that God has a plan for this place, and we will continue to pray that all the work, money, devotion, and efforts put into this place, which we love and cherish, will not be in vain. People outside of this campus, majority community, some think that there should be an intermediate college for Murree students, a private intermediate college for a co-education, a boarding, but a higher standard. Others think it could be another school, a very high standard quality education school. So there's one person said, don't turn this into a hotel because there's plenty of hotels. We need educational institutions. So our prayer is that this will continue to be used as an educational institution or something productive like that. Thank you very much for your attention.